Hello everyone and welcome back. Larian Studios dropped patch 3 for Baldur's Gate 3 today, and once again it's an insanely beefy patch, but Larian has given us a nice highlight section which is manageable for me to go over for you all, and then anything else I'll skim through myself and I'll let you know if there's something that I feel like is worth talking about. Let's jump right into it. And also, hey, thank you all for 200k subscribers. That's pretty cool, so appreciate all of your guys' support. Patch 3, max support, magic mirror, and more. And on the Steam sheet here, this is kind of like the highlights page that I'm going to go over. Quite manageable. I think I'll talk about most of this stuff. If there's any endgame spoilers, I will, find a way to warn you or put them at the end. But this is the actual patch notes page right here. Look at this. Absolutely insane. Like, just there's no way I could go over this, nor would you guys be interested in 99% of those changes and fixes, because let's just pick a random right here. Did a sound pass when interacting with one of the statues beneath the Wraithwind main square. So 80% of you guys probably don't even know what that is, and those of you that do probably didn't realize there's anything wrong with it, nor would you even notice that. So back to the highlights we go. Hello everyone, patch 3 is now live for Baldur's Gate 3. Mac users and chronic character recreators rejoice. Friday's update will bring the full release of Baldur's Gate 3 to Mac and allow you to change your character's appearance in-game via the magic mirror. So happy for all of you Mac users out there. Felt bad for you guys because you guys were part of the early access phase, and then you're one of the latest to actually get the game. But hey, now you finally got it, so enjoy. And enjoy your runs if you haven't played yet. I am actually very, very envious of you. So Mac users, just note that your saves made in previous versions of BG3 on Mac will not be compatible with the full release. And to prepare your Mac for the full version of Baldur's Gate 3 and minimize potential compatibility issues, Larian recommends that you fully uninstall the game and remove any mods before installing the latest version. And also, the minimum and recommended specs for Mac users have been updated. They recommend an M1 Pro processor and FSR enabled to run the game at higher ultra settings on Retina display. Check the Steam store for more details. Do note, if for some reason your Mac doesn't seem to be running it that well, look into GeForce now. I'm not going to talk about it any more than I already have before, but that's a way that you can absolutely play it on pretty good quality on your MacBook. Now, the biggest addition with patch 3 that most of you guys are going to be probably excited for is the magic mirror. So tucked away in your camp, exuding a certain, we found this at a vintage fair and it's too fancy for our current home energy, is an item called the magic mirror. Tales have been told of its legendary ability to permanently alter the appearance of one who gazes into it. And you know what? I'm just going to show you guys in the game here. Let's go ahead and go to my camp. And I'm actually at the earlier river camp, as you can see right here. And if you look in the southeast corner of the camp, in this structure right here that really has had no use, I'm surprised that Larian hasn't really used this for anything. There is the magic mirror, and all you have to do is simply walk right up to it. And voila! Now we can change our character's appearance. What you can't change: race, subrace, and body type. I'm surprised that they didn't allow the body type change, because I don't really know what the significance of the body type actually is. I can understand the race and subrace though. I think it's better that it's like this because certain races have different interactions in the game, and I feel like some choices need to be more permanent feeling, so choices have meaning. If we're allowed to change any and everything at any time in a video game, it kind of loses, like, choices lose their impact. So I like that race and subrace can't be switched here, so make sure you take your time choosing your race and subrace. But as you guys can see, we can change mostly everything here. Scarring, body art, eyes, makeup, hair, all that good stuff. So exciting that we can do this, because some people are not satisfied, or some people want their character to evolve even with just something like hairstyle and makeup as the game progresses, which is pretty cool. Like, after you go to Moonrise Towers, you should become emo and goth. Absolutely. There's also a few other restrictions for the magic mirror. Origin characters and hirelings cannot use the magic mirror. I still just don't really, I haven't wrapped my head around why the hirelings just aren't customizable in this way. It still confuses me. There's got to be some reason why it's like that. I don't know. Do you guys have any ideas why we can't fully customize the hirelings? Because I think that was initially what most people wanted, was to be able to create a full custom party, not just these random hirelings that don't really have any significance. But anyways, origin characters and hirelings you cannot customize. Now, Larian did put a pretty big spoiler in here, and I've blocked it out myself. They must have forgot to block it out or didn't consider it a spoiler themselves. But I'm going to wave my hand, and when I wave my hand, it means you can come back. So go away for 5 seconds. Close your ears for 5 seconds right now and look for the hand wave. Okay, here we go. Full Illithids can also not use the mirror. Okay, you can come back. All right, now it's time for me to read through the rest of the notes here on the Steam page, and then I might do some highlights from the other page. Just so freaking long. Holy crap. So anyways, yeah, you don't have to look at the screen anymore. You can leave the video if you're already bored. Sometimes I feel weird about doing videos where I just read off things. It doesn't feel that creative, but these videos tend to do really well and people seem to enjoy them. So here we go. I'm going to save anything that's blacked out for the end of this particular section. So for combat, fix the level 4 or higher Divine Smite, allowing you to add Divine Smite as a reaction, allowing for 2 Divine Smites in 1 attack. Sorry, Paladins, you're too powerful. Fix the Divine Smite damage, increasing over the cap of 5d8. Sorry, Paladins, you're too powerful. Made several improvements to the Poltergeist enemy. They are now revealed on being attacked or hit with Radiant Spirit Guardians. They will not turn invisible again if they are still in a character's See Invisibility aura. In Balanced and Explorer mode, they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws when invisible. The range of their attacks has been reduced, and they won't try to keep distance from the player in combat, so they are easier to find. I like when little changes like this are done to differentiate difficulties as opposed to just armor class or hit point increase or decrease. Fix the sneak attack damage bonus, not increasing to 66 at level 11. Very important fix for you rogues out there. Fixed a case where multiple smoke powder arrows could be used for free while the extra attack feature was active. For PS5, the colors on the PS5 controller will now match elemental damage types more closely. That is so important. For performance, improved performance in the lower city. More to come. Let me know how the performance is for many of you guys after 3 patches now. How is the lower city running for you guys that were having performance problems? I'm genuinely curious. I do want to mention, just like I did in the last patch notes, as I did do some performance increases, I switched from Vulkan to DirectX 11 and my performance got way better in the lower city. So make sure you just consider that. You can switch that when you start up the Larian launcher. Before you hit the play button, you can switch from DirectX to Vulkan or vice versa. So switch it around if you're having problems. For art, made dye colors more intense and more visible on some armors. This will only affect newly dyed items. Dragonborn characters can now select any of the barbarian piercings. That's pretty cool. Fix Shadowheart going blonde when equipping a hat. Oh, I kind of like that. Improve the reflection in the spectator's eye in the Underdark. Fixed face tattoos disappearing when zooming out. Excuse my voice, y'all. I was sick for a little while here and I'm still a little bit congested. So for flow and scripting, fixed a bug where companions temporarily leaving the party, example being sent to prison, would forget their partnership history and act unusually cold towards you. That actually did happen to me recently, so I'm happy that they fixed that. Improve the Astarion romance flow if you agreed to spend a night with him before going to camp by disabling some less important camp moments. Fix some dialogue options only showing up when talking to Withers. Fixed an issue causing Damon to enter combat and die at last light, preventing Karlach's story from progressing. So Damon is a tiefling that you'll meet in the Druid's Grove very early on in your playthrough. Added a journal step for when the tieflings leave the Emerald Grove. The Forging of the Heart quest will also close if Damon is no longer available in the region. Fix the game thinking you're dating Gal instead of Karlach in one of the dialogues with damn it, Gal. You guy's a horny bastard, let me tell you guys that much. You now need higher approval for Shadowheart to confess her Shar worship to you. I think that's pretty good. I do think it was a little bit too easy. Mishka, the cat, will now follow you around if told to, even if you don't have speak with animals. I'm pretty sure that you meet that cat in the lower city in Act 3. And we have some spoilers here. Fixed Karlach's journal, mistakenly saying that you arrived in the Shadow Curse lands when you arrive at the Rosy Morn Monastery Trail. Will should now acknowledge Karlach approaching him for the first time more consistently. Fixed an issue that caused the Shadowheart swimming scene to not play for some players. I don't even know what that is. Fixed issues with Astarion discussing topics that are no longer... Actually, I do know what that is. The swimming is probably something in Act 3 if it's a scene that I'm thinking of. Fixed issues with Astarion discussing topics that are no longer relevant. Yeah. Come on, Astarion. You're already quite annoying as it is. Just kidding. But seriously. It depends on the character that I'm running. It depends on the mood that I'm in that day. I like Astarion. Okay, it depends on the character that I'm running. Reworked the interaction between Nier and Minthara. Nier no longer mentions Minthara in his Speak with Dead. You can ask Minthara for safe passage to Moonrise if you'd heard about it. She'll ask you to raid the Emerald Grove first. If this happens, Nier can be asked about Minthara, and then Minthara can be asked about Nier. And the journals for travel to Moonrise Towers and follow the convoy were updated accordingly. Saving Nier no longer creates a danger zone if the Dwergar was killed before clearing the cave-in. So we're talking towards the end of Act 1 here, in the beginning of Act 2 for most of that content. During your date with Karlach, Tender Henk will no longer walk away to reveal another Tender Henk standing behind him staring. Kind of funny. Alright, on to gameplay. The following spells will now correctly break the Sanctuary conditions. If a character has Sanctuary active on them, basically they can't be targeted, but they also can't harm or attack other creatures, or the condition will end. And it looks like Larian is making it so if the creature, I think I'm understanding this correctly, if the creature who has Sanctuary active on them casts Call Lightning, Evard's Black Tentacles, Polymorph, Hunger of Hadar, Fear, Ice Storm, Flush the Stone, Divine Intervention, Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, Stinking Cloud Banishment, or Glyph of Warding, that condition will end. So Sanctuary has been a really powerful spell. So this is probably a necessary nerf to it, if I'm understanding this correctly. Level Up will now queue all characters who can be leveled up, so you don't have to click on them individually. Nice. Fix some corpses never showing the empty tag after you loot them. Also nice. Fix not being able to use some reactions while in disguise. Cazador's Staff, whoa, now correctly unlocks the Blight spell when equipped. Fix several magic items in Volo's Eye losing their power after you are killed and revived. Fix the Spell Sniper feat not working on attack spells. The Spell Sniper feat will now correctly reduce the critical hit threshold by 1. Fix the Idol of Sylvanas buff disappearing after long rest. Mummies raised through Create Undead can now jump to follow you around better. Thank God. The Everburn Blade now correctly sets explosive surfaces and explosive objects alight when hit. The Misty Escape feat will no longer break concentration. Reading shop signs will no longer be considered a crime. The Cutting Words reaction is now set to Ask by default, and that's a Bard class feature. Summon zombies and skeletons will no longer be able to pick up loot and disappear with it when dismissed. The Azure Summons Overheat ability is now available on its hotbar when summoned. The Nimble Finger Gloves can now correctly apply their dexterity bonus to gnomes, halflings, and dwarves. Fixed an Animate Dead exploit allowing you to summon 2 skeletons from the same corpse. Optimized how the game handles object selection on controller. Fixed Sovereign Spa being able to resurrect hirelings with animating spores. We taught him to not use this on player characters anymore, and Sovereign Spa is in the Underdark in Act 1. Okay, only a few more and then we'll go over the spoilers. Your selected trade mode, and we're under UI now. Your selected trade mode, trade or barter, is now saved to your player profile. Added an option to the default online settings to let you automatically listen in when another party member enters a dialogue in multiplayer. Clarified whether something is a resistance, a vulnerability, or an immunity in the examine window. I'm actually really happy that they did this. Resistances can be positive or negative, but there needed to be a little bit more separation. It was just kind of hard to wrap your head around whether an enemy was going to take double damage or half damage. And now, as you guys can see, they clearly label something vulnerable if it's vulnerable. And also, instead of just saying damage nullified, it says poison immunity. So good update in my opinion. Added a notification for when another player in your party is trading. Fixed spells being interrupted by climbing, allowing you to attack twice after climbing down from a crate. Updated the character sheet on controller to place active conditions above the list of notable features. For level design, fix some small holes in Act 1 that weren't letting tiny characters through them. Definitely encountered a few of those. For writing, added a dialogue option to the first in-person dialogue with the Dream Visitor to avoid only having 2 antagonistic choices. Rewrote some spell and action descriptions that were too vague. For audio, fixed Raphael's boss fight music, sometimes being incomplete or missing. Oh, it's such a good song. Always good if they're going to touch it up, though, to make sure that players get that experience, because it's really, really epic. Fixed some VO not playing in dialogues on PS5 split screen. Fixed audio cutting out with 3D audio enabled on PS5. Optimized audio in merged split screen cinematics. And the last section for like the major highlights here is cinematics, improved contact when petting Ketheric's good girl, Squire. I'm not going to talk about that anymore, just for spoilers. Added some lovely blood spurts when Volo carries out his expert operation. Oh man, that was already kind of tough to watch. Fixed Will's horns clipping into Karlach's face during an Act 2 romance scene. Get your horns out my face, bro. And I actually blocked the next line out because I thought it was a spoiler. Larian didn't block it though. Placed a nice purple picnic blanket in a romantic scene with Gale and fixed a camera spin if you chose to prefer to spend your time with him on a bed. Fixed Shadowheart looking like she's either in pain or about to sneeze in the background of a dialogue with Thula, I don't know how to say her name, a gnome that you meet in the Underdark. Added some missing boo squeaks. Oh, always a necessity. Great job, Larian. Updated cameras, facial expressions, and head directions to better suit the tone and dialogue with Shadowheart. Fixed some pops and camera issues when you start dating Lae'zel, including Lae'zel's body flying elsewhere and then back again mid-dialogue. Boo will now be framed in the shot as intended when you talk to Jaheira after recruiting Minsc. You know, initially I was not even talking about like Minsc and Boo and Jaheira, but I think now that we're a couple months past companion spoilers like that were already public from Larian's marketing, I'm not going to hide them anymore, but I am going to hide like endgame, like real major story spoilers that aren't public from Larian or weren't part of the marketing with Larian. Fix Scratch floating in the air while you pet him by the post house in Rivington. And then they have a link here to read the full patch 3 notes, and I'll leave a link to both of these articles here down below in the description. Okay, now I'm going to go over all the spoilers. So if you don't want to risk anything, have a wonderful day, and thank you all for choosing to come to my channel for some patch notes. Appreciate you. All right, so for combat, Cazador now cannot turn into or remain in his mist form if in magical sunlight, such as that created by the daylight spell. Nice update. Fixed answers. Stormheart Nova blasting right through the ice shields you can hide behind. I was wondering about that in that boss fight. I was like, well, what the heck's the point of the ice shields? It just got destroyed. Grim suddenly got eerily smart and was avoiding the crucible in the adamantine forge with a nervous laugh. We dumbed him back down a little. All right. Fixed a bug letting you trade with Cazador while he begs for mercy. Fixed a blocker where if you knock Orin's Slayer form, that's a pretty big spoiler, into the chasm, you can't get her Netherstone. Okay, necessary. Halsin, Jaheira, and Minthara will no longer be able to undergo Volo's ice pick lobotomy. It's just not their kind of pastime. Fix not being able to cut. Oh, it's kind of weird when I try to highlight and then I click on the spoilers. Let me just click on all the damn spoilers. Okay. All right, there we go. Much better. Fix not being able to cut Vanra out of the hag by interacting with her knocked out body if all of her mushrooms are destroyed. Actually, I'm not familiar with that part of the quest. Lae'zel will no longer tag along whether dead or alive after you slit her throat when she ambushes you at night. Fix the bug allowing you to yoink the Orphic hammer right out of the so-called impervious sphere in the House of Hope if someone else in your party is in an interactive dialogue with the sphere. Fixed a flow issue in Shadowheart's endgame romance dialogue to make sure Karlach appears alone in Avernus if Shadowheart says she'll meet her there at a later point in time. All right, the narrator no longer thinks you're a mind flayer when you're not. Fixed companions talking about killing Gortash after meeting Orin, even if the former is already dead. Necessary changes. And then also for the reworked interactions between Nier and Minthara, the Travel to Moonrise Towers quest no longer sends you to Minthara after saving Nier. He has a lyre of his own now. He gifts it to you if you saved him from the cave-in. This lyre can now be used to call for the Drider through the shadow-cursed lands, like Minthara's lyre does. Both lyres have new descriptions. NPCs will no longer run away from anything but the Dark Urge Slayer form to improve interactivity and flow. And then we have the last one. Reworked the intro of the scene when you approach the altar at the Temple of Baal and fixed some bugs. Definitely curious about that. So there you go. That's basically it for patch 3, but it's not it because there's about 17,000 more fixes that I didn't talk about. But I did kind of skim this a little bit, and I think everything that we have here on the Steam page is probably good enough for this video. But if you are a patch notes nerd, you might want to actually look at this. Larian separated all of these into nice categories here. You have flow and scripting that divides into acts. So you have Act 1 right here with all the changes to the flow and scripting, Act 2, Act 3, and then there's all these other categories that weren't in the highlights, so just not really that important to talk about. You have all the animation fixes, more controller, mini-map fixes, and things like that, so I will leave a link down below. really the big news today is that Mac users can now play the game, and also the magic mirror to change your appearance. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks again for 200k subs. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know. I need to know who of you are the hardcore patch notes people. You guys are pretty cool. Catch you on the next one.